Hi, good afternoon, everyone. It's Saturday, January 14th. It's 12:15 p.m. here in Chicago. So, salute to Southern T. I saw that he posted that Gary Russell Jr. might be moving up to 130, maybe even 135. I do remember Gary saying he can walk around easily at 135. So, I'm assuming moving up either one is cool with him, because I do remember him saying that, he walks around easily at 135, which isn't bad considering he fights normally at 126. So, all the best to Gary Russell Jr. for that. But since we're on the topic of Gary Russell Jr., I wanted to point out one more thing, and it just goes to show how this YouTube community is. Gary Russell Jr. is supposedly this big hater, right? He's been calling Tank out for years, but now he's this big hater because he was at the fight in his city in D.C. and Tank sold out the fight. That doesn't make sense. He's been calling Tank out way before that fight took place. He's a big hater because he pulled out his phone and did a little bit of recording and said what Tank should be doing. And then they said, they were like pretty much giving Tank, critiquing what Tank should do in the ring. Big deal. I don't understand how that makes him this huge hater. And pay attention, the same people who want to make slideshows about how Gary Russell Jr. is a hater, they don't keep none of that energy when it comes to Devin Haney. Devin Haney calls Tank out of his name. He insults him. He's just mad disrespectful. I feel like he trolls Tank a lot. Gary Russell Jr. doesn't call Tank out of his name. And Gary Russell Jr. been calling Tank out longer than Haney. Gary Russell Jr. called out Haney. Gary Russell Jr. called out Leo Santa Cruz. People try to act like he dedicated all of his time to only calling out Tank. Again, he called out Tank, Santa Cruz, Devin Haney. And a lot of people chose to believe Team Haney and say that Gary backed out of the negotiations. When you guys heard Bill Haney say right on video, "We'll fight you, but you have to sign with us." Gary Russell Jr. didn't ask for all of that. Gary Russell Jr. didn't ask to sign with you. He wanted to fight Haney. So Team Haney showed that they were being shady towards Gary Russell in the first place. But then when rumors broke out that the fight wasn't happening because, the issue with the contract, everybody wanted to act like they had all this abundance of proof that it was Gary Russell Jr. who backed out. When you heard Bill Haney give him a shady offer before the contract even went out, he told him, "We'll fight you, but you have to sign with us." And again, Gary didn't ask for all of that. So my point in bringing that up is Gary called out Haney. They made sure they stayed away from Gary. They didn't want to fight him. Gary called out Leo Santa Cruz. We see what happened with that. Gary called out Tank. He's been calling out Tank for years. He's been calling out Tank before Devin Haney, but people want to act like Devin Haney is some pioneer in calling people out. I just don't understand all of the eagerness to make videos about how Gary Russell Jr. is this big hater when, again, he's been calling people out, not just Tank, and he's been calling people out before Haney. He's not calling anyone outside of their name the way Haney does. Haney's making social media posts implying that somebody's cheating just because they paused the fight for a second. Gary Russell Jr. doesn't do all of that disrespectful stuff, but you guys won't make one video shitting on Haney. You know why? Because you're fake and you're scared you'll lose followers. It's free and it's easy to make a Gary Russell Jr. is a hater video, but you don't want to tell the truth about Devin Haney. And another thing about calling somebody a hater. Gary Russell Jr., again, how is he a hater just because Tank sold out D.C. when he's been calling Tank out before Tank sold out D.C.? How does that make him a hater? And if being a hater means that somebody's doing something that you haven't done, then how do you explain Floyd Mayweather? How do you explain Floyd Mayweather? You can have everything going for you. You can, even matter of fact, you know what? I'm glad I just used that term because that's what Tank said. You can have everything going for you and still be a hater. Floyd Mayweather is the king when it comes to this pay-per-view shit. He sells out fights. I've been to a Floyd Mayweather fight. He does great. Floyd Mayweather has done it all in terms of bringing in numbers and all of that. But he's still a hater. So it doesn't make sense to try and make an argument that Gary is a hater just because Tank sold out DC. It doesn't even make sense. He's been calling them out before that. So you guys just, again, you wanna attack Gary Russell Jr. because you're not going to lose any followers when you do it. But you won't keep it real on Devin Haney because you don't want to piss nobody off. Devin Haney is by far a bigger troll. He talks a lot of shit, and I'm a Devin Haney fan. I respect what he's done. Youngest undisputed for a belt division. I understand that. But guess what? That doesn't change the fact that A, he didn't fight Gary Russell Jr. It doesn't change the fact that B, Gary Russell Jr. been calling these people out before Haney. And it doesn't change the fact that C, he's done some real foul shit to Tank. But you guys, again, you don't want to make a video about that because you don't want to piss people off. It's easy to make a video blaming everything on Gary Russell Jr. So what? He went to the fight in his city and did a little critiquing and made a live video. Big fucking deal. He can do what the fuck he wants. He's in his city, and he's not doing anything that he hasn't done before. People are just fake, man. They just want to go with the flow, go wherever the wind blows. But they don't want to keep it real on these other boxers, But, yeah, so salute to Gary Russell Jr. I wish him all the best. And, these boxers are competitive. They're supposed to call people out. And when they see that people move funny anytime they say their name, that's their bravado, athleticism, competitive spirit, all of that. I don't understand why it makes one this huge hater and not the other. It doesn't make sense to me. But again, people do what they got to do to not lose followers. I get it. But I see through the BS. And in my opinion, there's no way you can ever justify coming for Gary Russell Jr., but you ain't got shit to say about Devin Haney when it comes to Tank. And don't give me no nonsense about how Devin Haney has been more active or Devin Haney achieved this, achieved that. That has nothing to do with it. You know it and I know it. But because Devin Haney has done those things, you're afraid to go after him because you don't want to lose followers. It's cool though. But I'm going to continue to defend Gary Russell Jr. anytime I feel like there's a double standard. And I see a lot of double standard with this whole, calling out Tank thing. But salute to Tank. He's doing his thing. I hope he does eventually fight one of these gifted black fighters. And let's see what happens with Gary Russell Jr. if and when he moves up. I'm wishing him the best. But that's all. Thank you for listening. Have a good day.